Hi, this is Tom and Ann from Two Caves Aquatics, and I made a video the other day about my shrimp and why I'm having success and maybe why some of you aren't. So I looked at that video again, and I know I needed to go back to kind of like square one because there was a lot more involved in just what I had to say. So let me take the camera from Annie and go over here, and you can see I have a lot of product up here on top of the aquarium, and these are microbe lift products. Let me get a little better view of some of these micro lift products, and these are reef safe and freshwater aquarium safe, and these are a whole line of beneficial bacteria that have a lot of different jobs and specific areas of your aquarium. And I have amino acids and vitamins, trace elements up here as well. A micro lift, herbal extract, plant and herbal extract. So let me get back to square one with this planted aquarium and what I did long before I ever put my first shrimp in here, the first snail. And that started with watching a lot of father fish videos, specifically about establishing the food web in your aquarium, and not the food chain, but the food web. And that would be all the little micro life in here that you can't really see, and what I needed to do to establish that. So I started with my substrate, of course, the planted aquarium here, the organic soil on the bottom, capped with sand, and then I started adding plants, user-friendly, beginner-friendly plants in here that I knew I would have a lot more success at, and not as much plant melting and some of those other things that can plague beginners. And then I started with this series of microbe lift, beneficial bacterias, and I got a list down here of some of the things like micro lift therapy. Fish care is a specifically developed mix of bacteria to improve the health and well-being of everything in there. The micro lift PL contains helps sustain biological activity even at water temps below 55, helps reduce ammonia and nitrate levels, it seeds and maintains the beneficial bacteria in your filters and your sponge filters. And I'm not sponsored by them, but you can go online and make up your own mind about microbe lift and their benefits. I do know from a lot of studying and research that I did that not all of the beneficial bacteria can just come in one bottle, and that the beneficial bacteria that lives deep in the substrate, in the bottom of the aquarium, in the soil, where there's no air, there's no oxygen, is vastly different from the beneficial bacteria that might be on the glass or the surface of these caves. There's beneficial bacteria on every little square inch in here. Every single grain of sand in here is covered with beneficial bacteria, and they all have different jobs. So I really did a lot of research on that, and at least in my head, I have a wide range of beneficial bacteria, each with specific jobs. Some are substrate cleaners that help break down things and prevents the gases build up, sulfur, hydrogen, the things that build up in your aquarium. They can become toxic to your life, toxic to your invertebrates and your fish. So I probably took about 2 months just with the grow lights up here, the full spectrum lights, growing out my plants, getting their roots well established in here, growing good beneficial algae in here on the side and back of the aquarium. That's never been cleaned, or scraped or anything since I started this tank. Creating a good amount of biofilm in here using Bacter AE, and just taking time, a lot of patience for that to all develop in here. And then I added some snails. I added some rabbit snails in here. And once I saw that they were surviving and thriving in here, I give them a little bit of food and some food to feed the beneficial bacteria, so they start multiplying in here. I added some floating plants, but I have a lot of surface agitation up here, and a lot of those didn't go well until I added duckweed, and that seems to do a lot better in here. I got all that established long before I ever put the first snail, and definitely before I ever put my shrimp in here. And I also have my cholla logs in here. You can see those. And that's when I also built the caves, because when the shrimp start breeding and multiplying in here, the first few weeks of the young baby shrimp's lives, they're mostly just eating biofilm, stuff like that, and they hide inside of those cholla logs. You can't really see it well right now, but inside of these two logs there are a ton of baby shrimp in there, brand new young baby shrimp, and the shrimp will hang out underneath the top of that cave, between the top of that cave and the cholla logs. It's just loaded with shrimp, and those babies will spend their first few weeks in there. And I had to give them plants they could hide in. I know my Amano shrimp and my bamboo shrimp, they will shed inside this cave here, usually hanging upside down on that top rock, and I'll find sheds in here. And that's another thing I learned. In the beginning, those sheds from the shrimp can look a little unsightly. They're outer skeletal shells, but I learned to leave them in there instead of taking them out, because pretty much everything they need in the way of calcium and minerals and everything they need to help them molt is in those sheds. So I leave those sheds in here. There was one over here yesterday over by this shrimp I noticed when I was looking at the video later, and it was a full shed for one of my larger shrimp laying over here by this rabbit snail, and they have eaten, it's gone. They've eaten up every bit of it. So Bacter AE is very beneficial, especially in the first few weeks of baby shrimp's life for feed. And yeah, I finally got around to the point of putting some snails in here, rabbit snails in here first, and feeding them, and then testing my waters, the GH, the KH, the pH, total dissolved solvents, everything, doing water changes, especially because ammonias can be leaked from these soils. And once I figured everything was right and my snails were thriving, then I finally ordered my first order of Neocaridina shrimp. Now, I'm not talking about Caridina shrimp, because they need much different water parameters and care than Neocaridina shrimp do. So I decided I wanted Neocaridina shrimp, and I got my first order from Mark Shelley Aquatics online. Yeah, he's got a YouTube channel, and these were red, blacks, blues, all the different colors that he culled from his purebred shrimp into a 40-gallon breeder or so, and he sold those cheaper, and they're called Skittles. and I ordered 20 of them from him, and these shrimp have been in this tank ever since. I didn't really experience any deaths, any molting problems. They already had a good supply of calcium in here with the cuttle bone and the mineral junkie bits. And yeah, they just, from day one, when they came in, of course I acclimated them first to room temperature. I just set the bag out and let it get up to room temperature. And then, of course, a lot of these breeders, the people you buy shrimp from, they want, they have a live arrival guarantee, and you have to take a picture of the shrimp. If there's any dead shrimp, you need to take a picture of those while they're still in the bag and get those pictures to them. And I know Mark Shelley stands behind his orders, and not all of them do. And it's very important when it comes to genetics. You want to start out with a really good genetics when it comes to shrimp. But before I added the shrimp, I learned that there are some parasites and other harmful things that can really devastate and kill your shrimp. One of those is planaria worms. So I spent a lot of time making sure and studying with magnifying glass and a little microscope, make sure there were no planaria worms. And I did order a planaria trap, and I even baited this trap. I have two of them, one on one side of the aquarium and one on the other side. And I baited these planaria traps for a couple of weeks and checked them out, and there was no planaria, no sign of planaria anywhere in this tank. It was the last thing I wanted to do after I got my shrimp and snails in here, to start dumping in chemicals to kill planaria or hydra or anything like that. A lot of those chemicals have copper and things in there that'll kill these shrimp, kill your invertebrates. And I really never wanted to start adding and depending on those chemicals. So yeah, I did a lot of time checking for both hydra and planaria worms. If they were present in the aquarium, then I wanted to treat those before I ever added my shrimp. But I never saw them, but I did take the time, up to 2 months, making sure that there was none of that was present in here before I added my first shrimp. And I was prepared by having Bacteria E and things like that I use to make sure they would be easily able to molt without getting that white ring of death, without being able to break through their backs and come out of those shells, come out of those skeletons. I never had that problem in here. I think it's because of all the research I did, all the preparation. Patience is the name of the game when it comes to these planted aquariums and invertebrates and adding shrimp. And then of course, this is a community tank, and I had to do a lot of research, trust me, on shrimp tank mates and what would make good, safe shrimp tank mates that weren't going to cause a lot of stress and mayhem in here, and we're not going to be eating my baby shrimp or eating my other shrimp. So a lot of time and research went into that. I have hatchet fish in here. They do not bother my shrimp. Of course, they're top water fish, and they're not bothering my shrimp. My white cloud mountain minnows are shrimp safe. My male idlers, my Corridora catfish are shrimp safe, at least the ones I have in here. The glow light tetras, neon tetras are shrimp safe. They've never bothered my shrimp in here. Everything in here is calm. Everything gets in. All these shrimp and fish work really well together. They get along well. None of these fish are chasing after my shrimp. Now, I did have one of them. Where are you guys at? Where are you two at? Oh, right here, of course. These two. My dwarf rainbow fish. Now I never saw them bothering any of my shrimp, killing any of my shrimp or going after them. But then I got some purebred yellow caradina shrimp. Unfortunately, at that time, Mark Shelley didn't have those yellow shrimp. He does now, and I ended up getting them from a different vendor. Despite drip acclimation and everything else, most of those did not make it, and that just goes to show you, be careful who you get your shrimp from. But once those shrimp come in from Mark Shelley, I acclimated them to the temperature of the house, and then I use this container here is 2-gallon container, and I can set it over here on the chair, and then I can take the shrimp out of the bag and put them in there. And I do add a couple of drops of dechlorinator, and I chose this stuff here, API, because those shrimp can be in the bag for anywhere from a day up to a week before they get to you, and of course they're going to be pooping in the bag. And so I added just a couple of drops with a pipette to the water that those shrimp came in this container down here. And then I use a drip acclimator. This is a little hose, little tube, aquarium tube, a little clip on here. And you put one in the aquarium and the other one down into your container with your shrimp. And then by use of this little clamp here, you can control how many drips per second come out of that aquarium with your aquarium water and down into your shrimp. And what I do is 1 drop per second, and acclimate them like that for a good 45 minutes to an hour, and then add those shrimp to my aquarium. So they're getting used to your aquarium, your water parameters, the pH levels, KH, GH levels in your aquarium, which could be different than your breeders or the water that came in. So you want to slowly drip acclimate your shrimp. And I think taking those measurements, those precautions, doing your research on the food web and the beneficial bacteria, even the copepods and ostracods. I put seed shrimp in here too. I bought them online. I don't have to now, but I put an order of seed shrimp in here. And these marble moss balls, they're a form of algae, and you can see my shrimp are all over those, eating on those, and they take out heavy metals, ammonias, nitrates, and I take them out about once a month, and I'll make a video on what I do with those and how I maintain the health of those. And they've grown quite a bit since I put them in here. So yeah, I had to do a ton of research, and I would suggest you do the same. Don't even take everything that I have to say here in this video as gospel. I mean, just do your own research. You won't regret it. And I'll make a part 2 and go into some more detail. I mean, a part 3, I'm sorry. I'll make a part 3 and go into some more detail. But if you find any of this helpful or interesting, or if it spurs you on to do your own research, or if you've ever tried to raise shrimp and had experienced a lot of deaths, or if you're interested in maybe adding shrimp or to your aquarium, just take the time to like and subscribe to this video, and there will be a part 3 at least coming up soon. So from Tom and Ann at 2 Caves Aquatics, and all the beautiful little creatures in here, and my little hill stream loach that reappeared the other day, and I'm happy to see him back, and that's directly related to
adding that second light back. He came out immediately, and that behavior is back. Once I put that other light on there, that second light, it's pretty much up in the front all the time, and down the substrate in the front, and back up here, and I'm just loving that. And this isn't shrimp food, this is a shrimp treat. But this too, I like to put up in front of the aquarium, and within the shrimp lolly stick here, and within minutes they'll all come to here, and I get a really good close-up view of my shrimp and examine them, sex them, figure out which ones are male and female, and see if any of my females are carrying eggs. And also what it tells you, I guess, if you're not feeding them enough or feeding them too much. Feeding them too much, maybe there won't be so many of them up here. But I haven't fed this tank today, and I didn't do a heavy feeding yesterday. I do believe in not feeding every day. I have a wide variety of fish in here, herbivores and omnivores, and they have a lot of them, all of them have different dietary needs, and I meet those with a wide variety of different types of food for them. And so my shrimp benefit from that. I really don't have to put any shrimp specific food in here other than the Bacteria and the mineral junkie bites there, and of course the calcium with the cuttle bone. But the shrimp are a wonderful addition to a community tank if you can pull it off. So do your research. And from Tom and Ann at 2 Cave Aquatics, thank you to all my new subscribers and the wonderful comments that we've been getting. And I'll be back here soon with another video, and thank you very much.